Hi, folks. Welcome back to my podcast, Diaries of a Divine Feminine. And today I wanted to bring forth a topic, how to prepare for the dark night of the soul. And I'm going to give 5 tips for women. These tips are relevant for anybody, but as a divine feminine, obviously, it's just my natural inclination to want to cater to women in the advice that I give and in my life experiences. I just think that there would be more resonance. But of course, these tips are. Hey, folks, welcome back to my podcast, Diaries of a Divine Feminine. Today, I want to bring forth a topic, how to prepare for the dark night of the soul. And I'm offering 5 tips. 5 tips for women, 5 tips for anybody. Before we get into the tips, though, let's go there. Let's talk about what the dark night of the soul is. Now, I remember my dark night of the soul. It was during a period when I was experiencing some of the euphoria after I was experiencing the euphoria of the spiritual awakening path. The dark night of the soul is inevitable. It deepens you. It takes you there, right? It's this period of time. And for some people, it's weeks. For some, it's months. For some, it's years. For me, it was a period of, I want to say, close to 2 years of desolation, intense spiritual. For me, it felt like darkness. It felt desolate. It felt desolate in my beingness. I felt a feeling of abandonment. I felt lost. I felt disconnected. I felt alone. And beyond feeling alone, I felt abandoned at a core level. It wasn't even, during this time, I definitely felt disconnected at a societal level, at a social level. I was in a new city, new job, and I just was not connecting to anything. But this was during a time when I was experiencing my spiritual awakening. And of course, the spiritual awakening often shifts your circumstances, right? So a lot of us may experience, changes in location or changes in jobs or changes in career, whatever it is, right? Massive change occurs during a spiritual awakening. And that was true for me. Experiencing many different angles of change was triggering for me, and also not feeling a sense of community where I was, but also I was in deep grief. I was in deep despair. I had experienced a trauma, a trigger at the core level that had set me spiraling about a year or two before, and I still was not over that. I was still struggling with that. And I was struggling, and I think what the dark night of the soul revealed to me, I was struggling with a feeling that I wanted life to be something other than what it was. I felt entitled to being able to control my life's outcome. And up until that point, I had felt that I could. And suddenly, these circumstances had come upon me where I was not in the driver's seat. I could not control my outcome. I was feeling deep humiliation, deep anguish, deep heartbreak, deep humiliation, deep embarrassment. And I did not feel that I could control my narrative. I didn't feel that the me that was projecting out there was powerful or potent the way it was before. And yeah, this feeling sent me spiraling. I felt betrayed at a core level. I felt betrayed by God, not just the people who had triggered this heartbreak within me or this betrayal within me, but also I felt betrayed by God. I felt as though God had permitted the circumstances. God allowed it. And I remember there were many times during my dark night of the soul where I said, God, why would you allow this? Why would you allow me to fall flat on my face? Why would you allow me to be humiliated this way? Why would you allow these people that have hurt me and injured me at a soul level and at an emotional level to win at my expense? That was deeply triggering for me, deeply hurtful for me, because I felt as though God had kind of teamed up with my enemies. And for me, the dark night of the soul was a very painful period of grieving, of anger, of lashing out at God, wanting to separate myself, wanting to understand, and wanting to feel reassured by God or by the universe or by the creator, and not getting that reassurance, not feeling that I was surrounded with a support system at the energetic level, at the spiritual level. So I felt like all hope was lost. I did not see how I would get out of it. And I did not realize at the time that I was building muscle. I was building strength. I was building a sense of purpose. I was being cleansed. I did not know that at the time. I did not know that that there would be a light at the end of the tunnel, and that I was moving through the tunnel. Because during the dark night of the soul, we often feel stuck in the tunnel, and it feels like we're not moving and that we're not progressing. And I remember feeling very suicidal because it did not feel like it could end. And I did not sense a resolution. But of course, the dark night of the soul is just a chapter. It's just a chapter, and it's a chapter that deepens us. It purifies us. It connects us with our inner being. And what it does is it clears out so much of the clutter in our personality. It clears out so much of the clutter in our facade. It clears out so much of the clutter in our expectations and in our motivations for doing things and our intentions. It clears out the fakeness, the falseness, the lack of authenticity. And so if you're in a job just to do a job, the dark night of the soul is going to set you straight. If you're in a relationship just to be in a relationship, the dark night of the soul is going to literally redirect your life and put you on a new course. So I want to go now to the tips. The first tip that helped me after almost 2 years of navigating through the dark night of the soul, is finding a sense of community. And what this means is, if it means going online and finding other people that are experiencing the dark night of the soul, finding forums of people where you recognize that it's not just you, because sometimes you can feel like this is just happening to me. And it's helpful to see that other people are going through this, that there is a community of spiritual people that are experiencing this, and that the dark night of the soul has a purpose. It's not just to be punitive towards you or to energetically disturb you and assault you for no good reason, right? There's a purpose to it. So surround yourself with people that are supportive, that care, that listen to you, that resonate with you, that can encourage you, and that can help you navigate through the darkness and give you advice and just good encouragement and wisdom. Second tip, indulge in activities that make you smile from the inside out. So it's important to take care of yourself during this time, but it's also important to do the things that you love doing. And it's important to remember what those things are. So for me, at that time when I was experiencing, it was almost 10 years ago, I remember I wasn't quite clear on what I loved doing or what I was passionate about. So I knew that I loved Latin dancing, and I found places and outlets where I at least could do that once a week. And I enjoyed that. Those were my times of escape, right? And I wish I had more outlets in that city where I was, but at least that was something that made me feel a sense of just inner beauty and feeling lit up and feeling radiant. So find the things that you love to do, spend time in nature, just do things that light you up, because that will help you move through this, and that will help you connect to the truth of your inner being, which is key to navigating through the dark night of the soul. The next tip is to authentically grieve. And this means that, oh gosh, I remember the pain and the anguish that I felt. I lashed out at God so many times, and I cried myself to sleep. I felt rage. I felt angry. So take the time to genuinely grieve. Do not escape your emotion. Allow yourself to purge and to go to the depths of your being and to feel all there is to feel, all of the despair, feel all of the rage, feel all of the anger, feel all of the disappointment, and feel all of the bitterness, Journal about it. Sit with yourself, reflect on it, pray about it. Just be present with it, because that is how, and the dark night of the soul is somewhat of a connection with your inner child as well, right? It's how you move through it. It's the connection with your innermost being. And that presence that you give to yourself is healing. And that truth, the presence that you give to yourself, is also the truth that's allowed to emerge. And that is healing. And that is what pushes you through the dark tunnel toward the light. Number the fourth tip, find meaning and purpose. So during the dark night of the soul, what makes us, what allows us to navigate through that dark tunnel as well is connecting with the part of us that desires a soul purpose, that knows that we have a soul purpose, but we sense that we're disconnected from it. And I don't know about you guys, but during my dark night of the soul, I craved being reunited and in alignment with my soul purpose. I wanted to figure out what it was, and I wanted to embody it. I wanted to master it. I wanted to know it and discover it. So find meaning and purpose. Find what it is that you incarnated on this earth to do. What are your soul gifts? What were you intended to bring forth into this world? What type of healing are you meant to embody and to evangelize? What's the message that you have from your life experiences and from your story? Package all of that together. That's part of your purpose. That's part of your message. Fifth tip, connect to your spirituality and meditate. So remember, the dark night of the soul is a spiritual process. It's a period, a time in your life when, even though it feels that you're disconnected from source, it's a time when you're actually connecting with source. It's just that you're purging all of the clutter that was disconnecting you previously, right? All of the false BS is coming up to the surface to be cleared. And you're being present and observing it. And that's sometimes a little irky of a feeling and a little bit painful. But remember that meditation, time in nature, self-care, prayer, your spirituality, your connection to source is the point of the dark night of the soul. It's why you're going through it. And it is the only remedy to get out of it. And so those are the 5 tips that I have for navigating through the dark night of the soul, remember this is everybody, I want to say almost everybody has experienced a time of depression in their lives. But certainly the dark night of the soul is a time when almost everybody who's experienced a spiritual awakening will experience this. And it's important to be kind to yourself. It's important to remember that this too shall pass. This is a chapter in your life that deepens you, that carves you, right? That takes you deeper within yourself and reconnects you to your essence. It reconnects you to your blueprint, even when it doesn't feel like that. So if you need support, please do not hesitate to reach out to a professional. Any mental health support, if you're feeling suicidal like I was at times, do not hesitate to reach out for support. And if you need spiritual guidance, feel free to reach out to a coach, someone like myself, who can help you navigate this process. But I want to hear from you. How many of you have experienced the dark night of the soul? What was it like for you? How did you navigate yourself through it? And what advice can you offer related to the dark night of the soul? So until next time, take care, guys. Cheers.